I'm inviting, of course, Edwin van der Brug, but in addition, we'll have Nadja on stage, Christo Kazik, who is the head of renewable energy at the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Communications, and Teije Talv, who's from the Estonian Wind Association. Good, good. Now, we've learned a thing or two about prices that are drivers in the feasibility of certain projects. And we've learned, not only in the previous presentations, but also in the building industry, that prices are going up. We're talking about raw materials like steel and concrete. They're becoming increasingly expensive and also volatile. Now, I've read stories in the Dutch press about suppliers of concrete to construction companies that make foundations that were having problems in terms of prices and the validity time of quotations. I suspect that there is a correlation between, on the one hand, very low in the value chain, the time windows of quotations becoming shorter, whereas higher up in the value chain, they remain quite large. So what does that mean in terms of being able to do business, both on the side of the suppliers and on the other hand, on the side of the developers? How can we mitigate or take that risk away? So from the supplier side, I'd like to ask Nadja how you look at this.
I definitely do not have needed recipe or quick fix. What we can do with the rising prices for the steel and scarcity of material in the market. All producers of steel in Europe, they also can feel the consequences of energy crisis. They are reducing the output. So at one side you have a very high price, and on another side you have also sort of a lack of material available, which is quite critical for fabrication of large projects. So there is no immediate fix. This is new reality, and this is we just need to adjust ourselves. Commercial-wise, yes, there are different options like applying of indexes, applying of open book principle, for example, if you are purchasing material, but still we cannot neglect this factor. We cannot absorb it fully as a fabricator, and I trust developer also and installation contractor, they also do not want to absorb those.
No.
No?
No.
Can you elaborate on that, Edwin?
It's in a way, it's a risk which you can fix at a certain moment in time. You know, in a way, if we order steel from them and they can at the same time order steel from a plant and it's fixed, then you can do something. But that's already quite close to the installation or to the production. Essentially, it means that they fix buying of steel. At the same time, they fix the contract with us. At the same time, we fix the contract with our client. At the same time, they fix the contract with the banks. You know, so that would be the optimum. Whereas we in former times had some time to do contracting afterwards, after financial investment decisions. So you see that the decision to build an offshore wind farm is more or less now multiple decisions on multiple levels, which makes it very complicated. And then there are still a few things where these need indexations. You know, fuel is one of the things we always have an index for, because the volatility in fuel is the same volatility you see now in almost everything. So some things you can have an index, which essentially also means that the client, the employer, needs to take some risk on board for that volatility. So
exactly.
it's another complexity in, let's say, the contracting structure.
Any thoughts from your side, Terje?
Yeah, I think the end results after Nadia will prepare the steel and Edwin will build up the offshore wind park is the electricity, and the electricity is going somewhere and someone is using electricity. So we can approach from this end and this side and try to do something with that, so they don't build wind parks because it's awfully fun. It is, but it is not the reason. The reason behind it is we need electricity, especially in Estonia we need electricity. We are producing less than half what we are needing every single day, so half of these people here are paying outside their money every single second. So we have to do something about our electricity market. So if there is so big capacities that are coming in 2028 or so, then our market has to be ready. Maybe there are PPAs like big power purchase agreements. Maybe there is some kind of government side structure, but this is the side, and we all benefit when they build up offshore wind park in Estonia. So it's not always against the market, it's our needs that they are fulfilling. So I think that is the thing that we can do and learn and move on.
Okay, thanks for that. Now, the second topic I wanted to touch links in with what Edwin explained about investments, for example, into a vessel that can carry, what was it, 20 megawatts turbines. Your company apparently is capable of making that investments. Other companies are not. For example, I was reading about a company that makes, I think, monopiles, and the standard diameter was, I think, 9 meters. They were asked to upscale up to 11.5 meters, I believe, in diameter. Now, we see this trend of upscaling growing from 2 megawatts, as you explained, to currently, what is it, 15 or so? It's not likely to stop, but what we see is that certain companies have hesitations to invest in upscaling or inability to invest in upscaling. Now, there's a thought school that says, given the fact that we have a limited number of hammers, like you explained, or a limited number of big bolts, would it be wise to look at standardization so we can make sure that these supplies are there and ensure that the rollout speeds of building wind parks is being achieved rather than to invest in upscaling? And standardization, in principle, may require some effort of governments. What are your thoughts about that, Christel, at all?
Yeah, thank you very much. In terms of standardization, I don't think it's really necessary because the market will develop as they need. If they think that upscaling is necessary and useful, and from the, how to say, electrical engineering side, it is, because as projects get bigger, they're more efficient, everything goes better, then we don't want to put, I don't know, state step into it. So as the market progresses, the regulation should progress as well. So on the standardization, my thoughts are that we don't want to stop the market from evolving.
Okay. And what are your thoughts, Edwin? Because it's a dilemma. We scale up projecting or delaying, if you want, larger capacity in the future, or should we focus on rolling out now?
Apparently, a new larger turbine is more efficient. Otherwise, it wouldn't come. And it's a competing market. Would you buy the same car as you buy 5 years ago with the same specifications, knowing let's just standardize and don't go for a battery that brings us 300 kilometers further? You
Fair
wouldn't.
That's a great
You
comeback.
probably asked the wrong person because the car I drive for daily use is about 25 years old. Never mind that.
But that's essentially what's happening. You know, we are in a competing world, and we have. It's also. There's a feeling that, you know, after 5 megawatts we said it will not go to 10. Okay, we're now at 10. After 10 we said that maybe they should stay at 10 for a while to get used to that scale and to do 10 megawatt turbines and foundations. Okay, in 25 we now have projects in place where we install 14, 50 megawatt. There is not apparently a standard which is the most efficient one, and apparently that's due to just getting bigger. You know, very simple. A 300 megawatt project 20 years ago were 150 foundations and 300 foundations and turbine installation. A 300 megawatt project in 5 years are 20 foundations.
Yeah.
So there seems to be room for improvement.
Yep, and it will also have consequences for the learning curve, the repetition effect that you described in your story. Indeed. Now, if we look at labor, we've seen earlier that main challenges in offshore wind primarily focus on the lack of skilled labor. And we naturally don't want to see teams of certified welders from Estonia compete with teams of certified welders from countries like Romania, to give an example. So how can we as Estonia compete in a more high value add supply? And I'm particularly looking at Nadja, because you are in this business by default.
Yes, but we never purely win our contracts price base. You're selling price so reasonable. It goes without saying, but you are also selling fabrication capacity, brand new hulls, and in my opinion, we need to aim for more complex scopes.
Yeah.
And we already proved ourselves as a good player in wind offshore market. So it's never only price competition. So skills, efficiency, additional services. This is what you mentioned, value added, and this is the recipe for new good projects coming to Estonia.
Okay, so that also links in with what I said earlier about taking the role of system integrator, adding services such as project management, quality control, perhaps standardized, efficient ways of commissioning, etc.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic.
Exactly.
Okay. Any other views on that, particularly for offshore winds?
Yeah, I think we have to be smarter. It's pretty easy because altogether in Estonia is 1.3 million people. It's not enough to be blue collar and low pay.
Yeah.
So we have to be smarter and add some value in this business. And also I have to mention that in Estonian MSP there is a separate area for innovation, so where we can do all the floating and maybe really cool stuff. So we have to be smarter and put something innovative in it, then we can do it. We have done it with IT, why not in offshore wind?
Exactly. And I know that Terje, you have done really great work on adding new knowledge to them, our schools. So I think it's the first step for us to have skilled labor in a couple of years. And yeah, the innovation area in our maritime spatial plan is in more depth, so not in really shallow waters. So I think we'll see innovation in that area for sure in the future.
Okay.
And there is a really huge interest for that area. So that's really great to know as well that companies are really interested in our maritime areas.
Fantastic. Good. Now, if we look at what was mentioned earlier today, Estonia not being bothered by a legacy from technology from the past, we seem extremely good at taking advantage of such a situation. So rather than trying to build its own turbines or monopiles like Edwin advised not to do, should Estonia perhaps not have the ambition to develop from scratch what is needed to make green energy better applicable in our current energy mix? So I'm talking about things like hydrogen production, electrolyzers as facilitating technology, interconnectors to take over the function of these cables from one wind park to the shore, but also things like power storage. Is that something that's out of the capacity of Estonia to take advantage of the lack of legacy, something we can and should do?
And if you're going to ask from me, then we are doing our first steps towards hydrogen. As last 3 or 4 weeks ago, we put first ideas into our regulation in terms of hydrogen. Also, we are making our first pilot projects. So the state is giving out subsidy to have our first full-scale pilot projects. So I think we're going to get some information from these projects and can imply them in the future. For example, from offshore wind to make hydrogen and then import it to the mainland. So these ideas, I think they're great ideas, but we still need time to put them into legislation, work through our market, and then start really implementing them to our projects. Because currently, I think they're maybe a little too highly valued. So in terms of market price and how expensive they are, I think we need some years for development, and then we can imply them.
Okay. What are your views on that, Teija?
About hydrogen?
About basically the observation that what currently happens is not just generating electricity somewhere and using that in the grids, but basically making green energy be more suitable to apply in the new mix. So it does have consequences probably in terms of infrastructure of distribution, etc. Is that something that your members are working on?
Yeah, of course. I have to say that all electricity need in Estonia, I'm speaking about electricity, especially not energy, electricity, is a little bit less than 9 terawatt-hours per year. First offshore wind park, Saare Wind Energy probably will be producing 6 terawatt-hours per year. So first park, more than half is covered. The second park will produce 4 or up terawatt-hours per year. And the third one also. So the first wave of wind parks, offshore wind parks in Estonia, will produce enough electricity for Estonia. So if we have connection with Latvia, with Finland, then we can share it. But after that, it's not really a good idea to push all electricity, the other parks, the future parks, also to our grid. It's not wise idea to put it all in Estonian grid. So there is grid connection in our sea, and we can spare it by this way, and we can use it hydrogen or whatever this end result is, and use this power of Estonian wind and produce some other value, and maybe use it in our transport or heating or whatever is needing at that point. Our first need is our electricity for Estonia, then it's everything else will come, and of course, if we are prepared for our first offshore wind parks, how many years? 16? So when we actually get and plug the first wind park in, then we can see how it will continue. But after that, the second 7 gigawatts, what is the capacity what we are assuming, that there is definitely room for hydrogen or whatever this medium is, what is used by this time. Yes.
Okay. I think this will be a topic that will be further discussed in the next block on hydrogen, particularly the distribution through pipelines, cables, what have you, but also the role of ports in that. I'm currently looking at the clock and we're about there, so I'll be very curious to hear if there's any questions from the audience about the topics we just covered. Eero sees a hand.
Yes, Christian Dabri. It was few times mentioned that we have this innovation area in our sea, which is something like 60 meter deep. And I assume it's a question to Kristo mainly. How it's going to be assured that there will be some innovation in that area, or how will you evaluate it actually?
Yeah, as we're currently making our regulation changes and how we auction off the areas that state have in our maritime spatial area, we have had many discussions about do we have to have any criteria for that part of the offshore areas, but it's really difficult to do because if one developer will put his application in, it will be publicly available. Then we have a second applicant who can see the first application and see that what is the innovation in his application. So it's more of a beauty contest then, and the second applicant can make his application even better. So it's a really hard thing to evaluate which project is more innovative, which project brings more innovation to the table, or etc. So that type of over-regulating we don't want to do, but in terms of what is on paper, currently we are thinking about not making possible to put something monopile in there, or it has to be gravity-based foundation. But in terms of what will be in the regulation, I think we're more knowledgeable in next 2 weeks, because there are heavy discussions currently having what should be in the regulation on that certain area, because we didn't expect that there is so much interest in that area, because it's only 90 square kilometers large. So for the business cases, I don't know how profitable these projects will be, but really even our universities are interested in that area. So yeah, we are certainly thinking about what could be the best solution for that, because money is always the easiest way out, like who's the highest bidder, but maybe there are some good thoughts that we haven't thought of yet. But these are ongoing discussions, Kurt.
Good, good. Any other little questions? It doesn't seem that way. Then I may thank you for a very inspiring little conversation. And I think we are about to take a break. We will be back at 3 o'clock, if I'm not mistaken, Eero, for block 3 about hydrogen.
That's true, yes.
So everyone has the opportunity to walk around the trade fair grounds and have a look around, have some lunch, and see you back at 3.
So thank you for everyone here in this panel. Gifts also for you. And I will switch slightly to Estonian to introduce a parallel seminar which will take place in Estonian language. Niisiis, meil on kell 2 algamas üks paralleelüritus, mis on siis seal messihallis, C-hallis, siit teisel pool, seal on üks väikene lava pandud üles ja seal siis Tartu Ülikool ja Tallinna Tehnikaülikool on valmis pannud ühe 2-tunnise seminari. Ja see seminar on ette valmistatud sellistel teemadel, mis kahtlemata lähevad ka masinatööstusega väga hästi kokku. ja näiteks sellised pealkirjad, kuidas panna robot enda kasuks tööle, arukad süsteemid järgmise põlvkonna tööstuses, 3D multifüüsika, kõrgtehnoloogilise tootearenduse võti või siis tehisintellektil põhinev kapten meretööstuse jaoks. Ja lõpuks diskussioon, mida on teadlastel Eesti tööstusele pakkuda. Nii et kui teid huvitavad sellised teemad, siis kella 2 kuni kella 4 seal C-halli laval saate osa seminarist, kuhu tõttad Eesti tööstus. Aga siin siis aitäh teile, et olete vaadanud seda sessiooni. Meil on siin olnud kokku 50 inimest ja läbi veebi ka 50, nii et kokku 100 on. So thank you everyone attending here. We have had here about 50 people and quite the same number is following us via internet. So altogether some 100 people will get more information and will be more clever now about offshore wind as well as the other topics we have here today. So, thank you very much and yep. Ja lõuna saab olema nüüd teisel korrusel. Ehk et kui te lähete siit välja, siis seal garderoobi lõpus läheb keertrepp ülesse ja sealt rõdul tagaotsas siis vaatega merele ongi meie lõunakoht. So the lunch will take place on the balcony of the neighboring hall, Sea Hall. We go up the stairs and then find a separate place for us where the dinner is served. Thank you very much.